Hello, this is Math with Beth, and we are going to look at end behavior of polynomials. So when you have a polynomial and they ask you for the end behavior, what that means is no matter what's going on in the middle of a graph, what is happening at the very left and what is happening at the very right. So this would be an example of the graph going down to the left and down to the right. So this one would be an example of down left and up right. Then we could also have something like this where it goes up to the right and left, both. And finally, we could have one that goes up left and down to the right. So obviously, if you have the graph in front of you, this is an easy thing to answer. But what if you don't have the graph in front of you and all you have is an equation like these? How do you do it? So looking at these four options, these are the four different things that could happen at the ends of the graph. When would you have a graph that goes up to the left and up to the right? Well, it happens when you have x to some kind of even power. So x to the second, x to the fourth, x to the 28th. But it also has to have a positive number in front of that. So there's some ways that people get tricked when the polynomial is not written in the correct order or if it's in factored form. So it's not just as easy as this. So make sure you watch when I go over the examples. But that is the gist, that if it's an even power with a positive, it'll go up to the left and up to the right. So when would it go down and down? Same thing, even, but this time negative. And then for the down, left, up, right, and the opposite, these are the odd functions. So it would have to have an odd number here and positive to go up from left to right. And then the opposite is when you have a negative x to some kind of an odd number. So these are the rules that you just need to learn or get used to. And then you can apply those to any example. So I'm going to do these to show you some of the things that still trick people, even if they know those rules. So for number one, I'm looking for the highest power. So here's a 1, here's a 4. So here's my highest power. So it's even. And then what is in front of that highest power? A negative number. So since it is negative and even, it's going to go down to the left and down to the right. So let's look at number 2. Also even, but a positive in front. So do you see that it doesn't matter if this is an even or an odd number? So make sure you're looking at two different things. To tell if it's even or odd, we're looking at the highest power. And then we're looking at the number in front of that to see if it's positive or negative. So this one is positive and even, so it's up left and up right. Number 3, this one is not in order, so make sure you're not tricked and think that it's a 2 when really the highest power is a 5. And then what number is in front of that term? Negative. So negative and odd is going to go up to the left, down to the right. And now for 4, 5, and 6, these are tricky because they are not in standard form, they're in factored form. So you need to think about what would happen if you actually multiplied this out. You don't have to do it, you just have to think about it. So if I multiplied x minus 3 3 times, I'm eventually going to get some kind of x to the third power in here. And then I'm going to need to multiply it by that x to the second power. So what would happen in the end is I'd have an x to the 5th power. And since there's just a 1 in front of this and a 1 in front of that, it would eventually just be a 1. So it's going to be odd and positive. So if I lost you there, basically look at this as 3 x's here and 2 x's here. So we have a total of 5 x's. So odd and even is down to the left. Sorry, odd and positive, I meant. Down to the left, up to the right. So what would this one be? We have a 4 here. So we have 4 x's, 2 x's, and none side, so that would be a total of 6, and then a positive number out front. So positive x to the 6 would go up left and up right. If you need to, you can always go back to these 4 rules as you're going through these, or take a picture of them and then use them to try these problems. Finally, last one, here's 1x here, here's 5 x's basically in here, none out front. So I have 5 plus 1 is 6 again, but I have a negative out front. So a negative x to the 6 would go down left and down right. So the rules aren't too bad, but make sure you are careful about checking if it's in the right order, because we want the highest power. And if it's in factored form, we kind of add up all of these x's before we make our final decision. So there are some tricks involved. But other than that, that is how you do the end behavior of a polynomial. I hope that helped, and I will see you next time. Please like and subscribe and comment if you have.